Sunday, March 25th, is the day of the full moon. Billionaire magician David Copperfield saying that he would make the moon disappear. Okay, and I think it was Richard Hoagland. It could have been Joseph Farrell, but people had heard years ago, and I remember this vaguely. I think it was in 2012. There was a guy, his name was Crow 77 or Crow 777, and I think he was saying that he saw the moon flickering. He had tapes he would put up on YouTube of the moon flickering, waving in and out of existence, and there was a rumor going around the moon was just a projection, which I know isn't true, but you know, what were people to think? They thought there's no real moon, it's just a projection up there, much like they used to think the stars were just holes like punched in a bag painted black inside, and it was the light streaming in, but whatever. Okay, so that is not the case. The moon is real, and I think it was back in 2002 or 2003 that David Copperfield, he was going to make the moon disappear someday. But this is the most important thing I found out, and I'll go back to my research now. There was a Disney animated film. I've never seen it, but I want to see it. It's called The Rescuers. It premiered in Washington, D.C. in 1977. And I think it premiered in Washington, D.C. because this movie was about the UN. And there's a mouse UN in the basement of the UN. It's run by a mouse played by Eva Gabor, one of the famous Gabor sisters. I think her sister Zsa, this blonde bombshell, was in a movie like Amazon Women on the Moon or something, or Venus Women or Trip to Venus. Whatever, you know, we'll leave that aside. But anyway, the Gabor sisters were famous. They look like showgirls. And Eva Gabor played this mouse, and she gets a message in a bottle that this little girl in Louisiana is in danger, okay? So, and I think Louisiana is one of the places where the land is sinking while the land offshore may be rising, much as, you know, Atlantis fell, you know, other things go up, things go down. You know, that's how it is on this planet. But anyway, yeah, so there's a janitor mouse, and he's played by Bob Newhart. And so they're going to go rescue this little girl. They're going to be in a sardine can strapped to an albatross, which is a big bird. It's a famous bird from the Ancient Mariner. Strapped to his back, and they're going to ride in this little sardine can to Louisiana, flying on this bird. The whole point is, while they're still in New York City, they go by a building, and Disney had to recall so many VHS or DVDs of this because someone had put a topless woman in the window while they're in this kid's cartoon. If you blink, you'd miss it. But anyway, okay, and leaving that aside, from the day this movie premiered in D.C., probably because it was in the UN, and Truman lived right across the street, Truman Capote, from the UN, to the day after Kate Spade committed suicide, if she did commit suicide, Anthony Spade, who's the brother of David Spade, the comedian, the great comedian, he comes out of his townhouse 2 days after his wife's demise wearing a Bernard mouse mask, the character that Bob Newhart played. That's 14,963 days. Anthony Spade wears a Bernard mask. This is 2 days after the demise of his wife. Kate Spade was a designer. Back to the Washington, D.C. premiere of the Disney film Rescuers, June 19th, 1977. So up to where he's wearing that mask 2 days after his wife's death. So he's wearing the mask, Bernard mouse mask, June 7th, 2018. Look, it happened to be the same number of days as David Copperfield doing the illusion of making the Statue of Liberty disappear back in April 8th, 1983, to the full moon on Monday, this Monday, March 25th. Now, he said in, I think, 2002 and 2023 that he was going to make the moon disappear. Okay, but the number of days is very similar. So I found this phenomena. There are ancient domes of smart glass on the moon. It looks a lot like this. If you've ever seen the film by Stanley Kubrick, 2001: A Space Odyssey, the movie begins with a shot of the moon, and the moon is as blue can be. Spielberg has the moon be blue when Elliot is giving E.T. a ride in his bike, so everyone knows it, okay? Everyone knows there are ancient domes on the moon. It's made out of a smart glass. It's a north acidic. It, like anorthosite refracts in 2 planes all over this planet. I didn't even know where to begin. There's 47 high peaks in the Adirondacks, not 46. Nova Spivak, a good friend of David Copperfield, the billionaire, he was on the show, and he said he was in a used car lot in Vegas. David Copperfield said, I'm going to make the moon disappear for UNICEF or for some children's fund or whatever. All the ruins of domes and structures in the moon, okay, made out of smart glass. I don't know who built them. Maybe we did in the past. Who knows? But he's going to activate the pixels in this. This is one way to do it, activating the pixels in this glass. But as Richard Hoagland pointed out, and I think Joseph Farrell as well, you're going to create an intense plasma, okay, in this. And they find this all over our planet, up in the Adirondacks. There probably was a dome over the whole of the Adirondacks, and that's why Teddy, when McKinley was shot at the American Exposition, they called Rainbow City. Teddy Roosevelt did a little ritual, I think, when he climbed Mount Marcy, which is the tallest. And the Twin Towers were built to these numbers as well. 59 columns to a side times 4. What's 4 times? Let me see. What's 4 times? I think it's 236. Yeah, it's 236. 236, and that's the diameter in kilometers of this rainbow crater on the moon. See, it's called revelation of the method. They kind of have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it somehow in this dimension or whatever. But they're going to energize the pixels in these domes, and it's like in that film. Deb, what's our favorite James Bond movie? The one with Halle Berry, where she's NSA. Oh, Die Another Day. It's our. My wife was. Well, I gotta be careful what I say. Okay. Yeah, Die Another Day. Bond has an invisible car, and Bond thinks Q's lost his mind when Q says, because there's nothing there, and it's a car that's just lined with pixels. They've done things with houses just lined. You've seen experiments where they lined a whole house with screens and then just project what's in back of it. So it's not right, because birds will fly right into it, thinking it's a clear pathway. So what they're going to do is energizing these pixels in the ruins of domes on the moon. They'll project what's in back of the moon forward. So the moon will be like it's not there, because they're going to project all the space and stars in back of the moon forward to the pixels in front. And Hoagland asked Spivak, Copperfield's friend, will someone say in London and Singapore, people all over the world be able to look up all at once and see this happen? He says, yeah, that's what he wants to do. Too. Yeah, that's
what I said, because we discussed this before, so I was like, all around the world, I would like to hear continents to verify that, like if they
But the thing is, this is one byproduct, and this goes back to the latest Oppenheimer film. Have you gentlemen seen Oppenheimer, the movie?
No.
Okay. Oppenheimer, he can read the Vedas in Sanskrit. Okay, he's cheating on his wife, or maybe at that point he was with this other girl. She goes, while they're making love, I think they're doing some tantra kind of occult freaky thing, which been there, done that. Okay, but I can't read the Vedas in Sanskrit though. But he knew. They said, well, there's a 50% chance when you even test one of these atom bombs, like they were building the Manhattan Project to drop on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Even the test, they could ignite the atmosphere and blow up the planet. They go, oh, there might be a 50% chance they might destroy the whole Earth. Just testing the atom bomb. Okay, have you ever heard that? Trinity. That's why Neo's girlfriend was named Trinity. That's where they did it on the 33rd.
On the Matrix.
Well, yeah, on the 30. It's the I can't say it in Spanish. Rio de Muerto, the road of the dead man. It goes on the 33rd latitude to Trinity, all the way to Dealey Plaza, the most Masonic place in all of Texas, where they assassinated JFK. They did a ritual. I think it's on the 52nd, I think, anniversary of the secret meeting on Jekyll Island off Georgia, where they created the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is like just an annex of the Central Bank of England, and that's every president who has opposed that, Kennedy, Andrew Jackson, who was an asshole for what he did to Native Americans, and other guys, Jefferson, Adams. It's almost like we were never at war really with England. We were at war with the Central Bank of England. We were at war with the East India Company. We were at war with the West India Company. And when England stopped slavery, they had to pay reparations. They finished paying them in 2015. Imagine did I ever say that on one of these shows?
Mm-hmm.
No, they stopped slavery. They have to pay reparations, not to the slaves.
To the slave owners. Remember?
To the slave owners.
Yeah,
to the slave owners.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is
okay.
fucked up. Okay. Oh, and more on the moon?
Yep.
More on the moon? Okay. All through World War II, there was a half-mile long spaceship, probably Thurn, again, from Aldebaran star system, and that directed the Kriegsmarine, directed the U-boats. And how can that be fair? If World War I, World War II are the same war, with just a little break in between, how can that be fair? This is a E.T. war fought in human bodies. We're the chessmen. I don't fucking feel like being a chessman anymore. I used to play with little green army men when I was little. They're probably programming me. And I think we get manipulated like little green army men. Like what Netanyahu is, I think now the Israelis have killed 30 times the people that Hamas has killed. What is that all about? He may have been even taken over by one of these plasma beings, and that's where I want to get to the plasmas. So if they're going to energize this dome, and Nova Spivak says, no, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be a tech. They're trying to, and this might be in the next couple of days, and I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I'm wrong, because so many animals that depend on the moon. I mean, the moon will still be there, but just not seeing it might throw them off. I don't know. There's down in the Florida Keys, fish are coming up on shore, big sawfish. Fish are spinning in circles. They say don't eat the fish. They claim it might be a bacteria. I don't think it's that. I think the torsion field has gone wonky. I think this is what Hemingway was measuring when he was on the Pilar with scientific equipment. It's encrypted into the modern edition of Islands in the Stream on page 121 and 122. I think Hemingway was giving us the code for how this stuff works. It's when they decided to fish politely. They found they had more fun, even if they didn't catch any fish. So this man's trying to tell his son. So it's basically Hemingway is Hudson, Thomas Hudson's telling one of his sons, the middle son, that your brother who's hooked to a big marlin now, or big sailfish, he's nervous. If he can do this, he'll have this all his life, this accomplishment. So he's kind of nervous. And please try to be polite with him. And he tells him why and says, well, it's just a thing. We found we enjoyed it more. Well, the two-eye stone that's still below there, all this tech that Ghislaine Maxwell, with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, who has a submarine license, okay, the sub was altered. I don't know what day. I know the week they went down in 2006. All these scientists went in the sub. The hatchway of the sub had to be altered to fit Stephen Hawking's wheelchair, and Ghislaine Maxwell took them on the tours of ancient Atlantis technology off Bimini Andros Island. They have scientific equipment. They're measuring for anomalies. And Ghislaine Maxwell has a submarine license. This woman, they kept wondering, why is she so intent on recruiting Alexandre Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau, the undersea explorer, submersible? Okay, the one that wanted to go down, look at the Olympic, not the Titanic. That's the Olympic down there. That was a big triple cross insurance scam. The Olympic is down at the bottom of the ocean, not the Titanic. Cameron knows this very well. You can even see in the pictures, it's the Olympic, okay? Even where you can see the Y and the P.
You said a name, who was it?
James Cameron that directed Titanic. He knows all about this stuff. Okay, yeah, it's true.
No, I just want to know the name.
No.
It is what it is.
Okay, yeah. So there's like 2 companies in the world that can go down that deep with a robotic viewer and look at it. They can tell us anything, They can tell us anything. You don't need a nuke. You just need a lot of plasma. When that Titan submersible, and they say the Frenchman, he lost his wife a couple of years, the guy and he was the expert in submersibles. So he probably knew the thing was a death trap. When that thing imploded, that created a plasma as well. He might have wanted to join his wife. See, guys, it's just nothing is the way it seems. And recently my wife bought me Roger Rabbit, and I'm just blown. Roger Rabbit is, someone said on the web or on the internet, is Chinatown 3. I'm convinced of it, but there's so much there. There's so much in Roger Rabbit. The numbers, everything comes out. Okay, but this side effect. Okay. He says you need a lot of plasma. Okay, it's the objective of the hyperdimensional turning on the moon shield experiment in line with the sun, designed not as a side effect, but to trigger the sun to create enough plasma so there's a massive influx of souls back to the solar system. I think that's a possibility. It might be their main goal in this. Maybe they're going to say, oh, no, we need this as a shield against ET invaders, whatever excuse. And he says he's doing it for some children's fund or something, I think. Okay, but a massive influx of souls back to the solar system, like with all that atomic testing. He said they're just crazy enough to try it and not understand the side effects. As soon as you realize that these are controllable gates, everything changes. Okay, okay, this is what Hogan's saying, because Jezero Crater, and guys, you should really join Club 19.5, The Other Side of Midnight. I can't stress this enough, okay? So on one of the shows, I actually heard the rover tread going over the broken glass on this dome on Mars in Jezero Crater. There's a set of pyramids 5 times the size of the Great Pyramid in the same pattern, and 30 degrees off to the left, or it would be whatever direction it is, but 30 degrees off, there's a reverse set of pyramids, and that was the timing. And I think that's how Hogan has figured out we've been trapped in a phantom zone or bubble for 130,000 years. Okay, that's a long time. That's one reason everything is so wonky here. And look at David Copperfield discovered, and you hide these things in plain sight. All the Mithraic sacrifice sculptures of Mithras decapitating or cutting the throat of an ox or a bull, it's the reverse of the constellation Taurus. So it's looking, and Aldebaran I think is the red eye of Taurus anyway, but it's looking at Taurus from the outside in. That's what's being depicted in these Mithraic sculptures in caves, and 4 layers down in all mythology is ancient high tech. We're living in a bubble. We're living in a phantom universe. It's just like in Superman. What's inside the bubble, meaning you have back-to-back realities that are literally facing each other, like in Wrath of Khan with Spock and Kirk through that pane of glass. Spock had saved the ship, realigning the dilithium crystals, but they couldn't even open the compartment up to save him because it would just flood everything with radioactivity. And but we're back to back. Their hands together. This is in Dogon mythology. This is Mali, West Africa. This tribe, the Dogon tribe. There are legends about the Nemo. There's 2 realities. It's like they need each other. You see ancient carvings. That's why at Göbekli Tepe they've got these arms coming out, these T-shaped sculptures, just like in the ad for The Shining, the big T with a face on the other side trying to poke through. You see that we were somehow put in the phantom zone for some reason. I think whatever crime collectively we might have paid, we paid for it over and over again. I think this planet is being separated by frequencies. Maybe the planet was destroyed. Maybe we've been sent to the past because the planet got destroyed in the future. Some people say the Greys are us 52,000 years in the future, and the Nordics are us 24,000 years in the future. I think it's kind of like Roger Rabbit, where, here Bob Hoskins' character faces his fears and goes, he gives up his addictions, I had to give up my addictions too. I'm no hero, but then he could face his fears and he could go through that tunnel to Toontown. But later, and again, it's the decimal equivalent of 19.5 when he finally gets to Toontown. It's awesome. All the numbers add up, all the numbers. That's another message. That's like in Batman versus Superman. 1 hour, 47 minutes, 00 seconds, the flashback is over. 1 hour, 47 minutes. 19 seconds. Okay, 1947 reversed. Okay, this is it. It's different frequencies. There was an episode of Star Trek like that, but if they do this moon thing, okay, Nova Spivak says no, it's not going to be like an activation of pixels. I think if I'm hearing it right, he said it's some technology between Earth and the moon. I'm thinking they could even take, some of these ships are so big, they could park one in front of Earth, or park a few of them, have them in cloaked mode, okay, and it'd be the same thing. It'd be the same thing with the pixels. It would black out the moon, okay? So who knows? But if they do it, one thing they're going to do is create a lot of plasma. And that has the capability of bringing these souls in from the other side. And I don't know if these are people we want here. These aren't, say, the recent dead or your departed loved ones. And all the astronauts talk to their dead relatives in space. Most of them did. That's not well generally known. A couple of the astronauts become archaeologists in Guatemala, looking through ancient Mayan ruins. What are they looking for? See, it's always been a search for high tech.